Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 15th of October 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, some of the charts that we looked at this morning. But before, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. The content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so also before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which you can always check out as well on a daily basis, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourselves. But for now, guys, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX. Now, looking at this picture here, and this is what I was talking about this morning. So basically, in order for us to aim for higher levels, what we needed is a strong push above the 12,500 level, which we've managed to get today. So during the morning video, I was talking about this one, and the cash index was already slowly pushing above the 12,500 zone, and as you can see, we've opened nicely with an upside gap. The index traveled higher, almost managed to reach one of our levels here near the 12,600 zone, but kind of failed to do that by a few points here, and retraced back to the downside. Now, that said, it still wasn't able to move back below the 12,500 zone, and as you can see, the index, or should I say, the buyers are trying to lift this higher again. Probably, or should I say, most likely, the European session could close around here somewhere, but the cash index probably could get moved in a different way. I mean, and I'll get to the US indices after this one. So for now, guys, of course, all this positivity kind of is leaning more towards higher levels. Initially, we will aim still for that 12,600 zone, but if it fails to withhold, still the next target for us is around the 12,656 zone, which is the high of the 4th of July. So keep your eyes on this one. In terms of the downside here, if it suddenly falls back below the 12,500 zone, we'll keep cautious around here, but we'll start looking at slightly lower levels if we see a drop below the 12,390 zone here, and then yep, we will aim for further declines here. So for now, of course, it's looking more positive than negative. So let's see how this is going to play out. Jumping into Dow Jones Industrial Average here now. So with this one, it's quite interesting as well, because looking at the cash index right now, we are moving to at around 26,900 level. So yesterday the index closed slightly below this one here, and you can see it's slightly closed below this downside resistance line, so it did have an attempt to kind of move higher, but kind of failed to do so. And as you can see, this downside resistance line taken from the high of around the 12th of September continues to keep the price down. That said, we are looking at the cash index right now, and we are going to be probably having a nice opening gap here to the upside. So in a way, we will have a nice opening gap here to the upside and above this downside resistance line, which kind of puts it closer to the 27,000 level. Now, And our barrier here for the upside, we will be waiting for a push above the 27,046, or in a way you could round it up towards this 27,050 zone. A nice good pop above this could in a way open the path towards the 27,306, or the all-time high, which is around the 27,399 zone. So also a very good potential target here, but in order for us to get slightly more comfortable with these slightly higher levels, we need to see a push above the 27,050 zone, and only then we will aim for the upside. So, of course, the positive aspect here is the fact that we are going to see a nice opening gap here to the upside above this downside line. But still, just for that extra confirmation, a push above the 27,050 could do the trick for more buyers. So keep your eyes on this one. We will start looking at slightly lower levels if we see a drop below the 26,600 zone, and then, yep, we will consider slightly lower areas. So this way, of course, if we see a move lower here, this places the price below this downside resistance line, and we could, like I said, and if we get this drop below the 26,600 zone, then yep, the next potential target to consider could be around this 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. But if that is just seen as a temporary obstacle, then the slightly better area of support could be seen around the 26,140 zone. So keep your eyes on that one. If we do see a move to this area, then we'll take it from there. We'll have a look at it again and reevaluate the whole situation one more time. Gold. Gold is moving lower. This is what I was talking about this morning, and basically what I was saying, that as long as we see this one trading below the psychological 1500 level, yep, and especially this upper bound of the falling channel formation, then yep, we will continue targeting the downside. And as you can see, also what I was talking about this morning was I was telling you to keep an eye on the today's pivot, which is around the 1491 zone. So we had our drop below this. This is now opening the path towards the S1, which is around the, let me just confirm that. That's approximately around the 1485 zone, so it's now holding its path to in that direction. Of course, if it gets a break here, then yep, further declines are possible. Slightly better area of support could be seen around here, the 1475. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, we are aiming for the 1459 or even the lower side of the falling channel. But for now, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. First, let's see how this is going to play out here. First, we are aiming for the S1, today's S1, which is around the 1485. It's not far from there. The next pit stop could be around the S2, which is around the 1477. But like I said, slightly below it, we do have the 1475 zone, which also could be a nice area of support. So keep your eyes on that one. In terms of the downside, the upside, still the same idea remains. We need to see a push above the not only above this upper side of the falling channel, but also above the 1520 zone. So let's keep an eye on that one. GBPAUD. I've looked at this one this morning as well, and basically what I was talking about here was this nice rising channel formation. Sorry, it wasn't this morning. It was yesterday's my trader's tea time. So I was talking about this rising channel formation, and we are seeing a nice kind of move higher, a nice exit through the upper bound of it. So of course all this is kind of looking quite positive right now. The only thing is, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. Let's wait for a daily close. If we get a daily close above this, then yep, this could be opening the path towards higher levels. We could then aim for the 1.8881 zone. But again, for now, it is having a nice pop above it. But the big question here is, will a daily candle stay here, stay close above it or not? So if it does, then yep, we could consider further moves higher. And like I said, we will aim for the 1.8881 zone. That's basically the high, let me just quickly confirm that. That's the high of the 3rd of May this year. So good potential target, strong area of resistance, but we need to see a nice good close above this upper bound of the rising channel. If it travels back suddenly here, let's say if it travels back below it and closes inside the channel, then well, this in a way could lead towards a bit of declines here. Maybe a bit initially we'll class these declines as correction, but if we see a fall below the 1.84, 90, 97, 95 zone, somewhere around here, then yep, this could turn out to be ugly for GBP Aussie, and we could then start targeting the lower side of this rising channel formation. So, but for now, again, like I said, the pair is leaning more towards the upside. It is currently sitting above the upper bound, and let's see if the bulls can kind of maintain this pair above this area. If they can, then yep, we will aim for the 1.8881 zone. NZDJPY, something to keep an eye on tonight. So during the Asian session tonight, we do have the New Zealand CPI inflation figures coming out. So something could be interesting here on the NZDJPY front. So looking at this picture for now, of course, after a strong rally last week that we saw here, after reaching this key area of resistance near the 69 zone, 69 level, the pair started drifting lower. The pair is now kind of is forming these lower highs and lower lows. Today it dropped below this area of support here near these 67.95 zone. As you can see, the pair did drop below it, but the bulls are really fighting hard right now and trying to bring the rate back above the 67.95 zone. To be honest, for now, probably the pair might kind of balance around here somewhere. Of course, we will wait for the news and see how the inflation figures of New Zealand are going to come out, and that might bring some interesting activity here into this pair. So looking at the figures, by the way, and looking at the current projections, so the forecasts for the Q on Q number is the same, is at plus 0.6, but for the year on year figure, it is expected to have declined. So for example, if it comes out the same as the forecast, so that's going to be below the previous number. So in a way, we could see the New Zealand dollar drifting further down a little bit, not much, but if it even comes out below the forecast, now this is where the New Zealand dollar could get hit even stronger. We could see maybe a break of this tentative upside support line, this short-term tentative upside support line taken from the low of the 2nd of October, and then a further drift lower could happen. But again, for now, guys, probably don't try to predict it. Try to react to it and wait for the number to come out and then have your move. Because, like I said, sometimes it might spike, it might drop heavily, so you might get stopped out very quickly. So that's why, for now, just probably just keep an eye on this level here, the 67.95. If we see a further move lower below it, then we will aim for this upside support line, this short-term tentative upside support line, and we'll take it from there. If it wants to rebound from it, then something like this could happen, basically, where we could then consider higher levels again. But if it starts breaking, then yep, we will aim for the lows again, and we will aim for this little level right here. Let me put this one on the chart. There we go. And that's around the 66.91 zone, and that's basically the lowest point of October so far. So for now, guys, this is the game plan for NZDJPY. Don't get me wrong, it might not drift even lower here. It might start reversing back to the upside here straight away, but in such a situation, we will take a very conservative and cautious approach here and wait for a push above the 68.46 zone, and only then aim for higher levels. Until then, we will be very careful, cautious here, and just going to continue observing the price action. USDJPY. Now, USDJPY is having a nice push right now to the upside. Still, as I looked at this one previously, I was telling you guys to keep an eye on this wide range, roughly between the 106.57 on the downside and the 108.48 on the upside. So as you can see, the pair is trying to make its way higher, is trying to kind of test the 108.48 zone. But let's see if the bulls have enough steam. If they do, and if we see a nice daily close above this level, then we will consider higher levels. Higher levels like the 108.95 could be a nice target. And just let me show you what that level was in the past. This was, oh, there we go. This was basically this little high that we saw around the 29th of July, and this could be our next potential target if we see a nice strong pop above the 108.48 zone. Slightly above that, we do have the 109.32, which marks the high of the 31st of July. So some good areas here, but first we need that break, even though the pair is now showing willingness to travel higher. But again, like I said, until we see that break here above, then we're not really doing anything. And like I said, ideally we would like to see a nice daily close above this level. In terms of the downside, very conservative approach here. And previously I talked about this level right here, the 107.33. But given that the pair has moved a little bit further here, now we can shift our potential breakout here, breakout level to this area. To area around the 107.60 zone. So we'll keep an eye on this level. If we see a drop below this, then yep, we will aim for the downside and we'll aim for the lower side of this range that I talked about in the beginning of the analysis of this pair. So keep your eyes on some of these levels, guys. It's quite an interesting one. For now, it seems to be willing to travel higher, but again, we need that confirmation break. Euro USD. So this is what I was talking about this morning. So basically, it's moving lower. It's okay. That's fine still for the bulls because we are still above both of these lines. So the downside, the medium-term downside resistance line taken from the high of June, and the short-term tentative upside line taken from the low of the 1st of October. So until we kind of balance above this area, we will remain positive because in a way it could travel higher, it could travel here, even if it starts breaking it a little bit. If the daily candle is not able to close below this, there is a chance for a reversal and a push back up here because if let's say the daily if we see a move lower here, but the daily candle does not close below this, then we'll have ourselves a nice false breakout, and this is where a lot of traders could get stopped out, and then we could see a nice reversal and a push back to the upside. But again, for now, that's an upside idea, as long as it stays above both of these lines. If it starts breaking those lines, and if we see a close below all these lines, now this increases the chances for drift lower towards the 1.0966, or even better here, this level right here that I've got highlighted, and that's around the 1.0940 area, approximately around there. So this will be our kind of main target if we see a close of a daily candle below all of these lines here, the upside and the downside line. If it stays above this, the pair has still some chances to kind of move back up here towards the high of last week near the 1.1063 zone, and maybe even higher towards the 1.1110 zone. So let's keep an eye on this one. Don't get me wrong, it's still the beginning of the week, guys. So again, even though we are declining right now, it might reverse in the end of the week. So that's why keep your eyes on some of these levels here that I've mentioned, on some of these lines as well, and let's see how this is going to play out. And don't forget that here, given that the kind of the proximity to this important area here, we may see some interesting activity. We may see a lot of traders getting stopped out with huge swings here. So that's why be very careful. Either have